Hey guys, welcome to Exploring Like a Mother. It's Dana, and today we are going over Redfish Lake. We went back in the summer of 2022, and I already have 3 trips planned for the summer of 23 because I absolutely fell in love with the Sawtooth and specifically Redfish Lake. Adventure awaits. Let's go. So here was our first glimpse at the Sawtooth Mountains. And when I say that they are just breathtaking, pictures don't do justice. I've seen pictures of them before, I thought they were super pretty. But when you are driving and you're going through these forests and then you start to get through these areas where the forest has burned and there's these big open clearings, and all you see is these mountains, and you can tell why they got the name Sawtooth, because I mean they are rugged, they are sharp, and they just protrude out and are really quite impressive. So as you're driving into the Sawtooth Mountains, we came through Stanley. So on the drive there are tons of little camping spots on the sides of the roads, down by some rivers. So stay tuned because I'm definitely going to be checking those out this summer. So we arrived later in the afternoon and decided to go straight down to the lake before we even checked into camp. I love that my kids wasted no time getting right onto the water. Hannah put her little kayak in, took Wyatt for a little paddle. Wyatt decided to wade out. It's super shallow on this part. You having fun, Hannah? I don't want you going deep yet. Hannah, that's far enough. Come back this way, bud. Yeah. Yeah, it's you. So it had actually rained most of this day, so it worked out well that we weren't able to get out there until later in the evening. And when we did, we had the place to ourselves. There was no one else around. My friend and her family had camped the night before, and so they met up with us once we got our boards pumped up and ready to go out. We all took a evening paddle out on the lake. Again, one of those memories you'll just never forget. Why? Do you like lake life? Lake life. It's moments like these where I feel like I need to pinch myself that this is actually reality and that I'm actually here. Because sometimes it just seems like way too good to be true. Like, how is this my life? Like, how did I get so lucky to be able to do this with my kids? And I really will never take that for granted. when we book the campsites, it's really hard to get sites at Redfish Lake. So I was lucky enough to grab one site for this first night, and then we had a second different site the second night we were there. So knowing that I was gonna have to switch sites, I really didn't want to put up a tent and have to tear it back down before the second night. So we decided to sleep in the car. So even though we went in August, early August, it still gets really cold at night. So we were pretty bundled up inside of the car, and it was still pretty chilly. So keep that in mind that you're gonna want a bunch of layers. Now the car did warm up as the night went on and our body heat warmed it, but it was still really pretty chilly. I ended up sleeping up in one of the front seats, and the kids were sharing the back seat. Wyatt, my little one, he bounced around from his car seat to my lap to the back. So we didn't sleep much the first night. You'll notice a theme. We tend to wake up really early when we're camping. So as soon as we started waking up, we decided, number one, I needed coffee. We needed something warm because we were all still pretty chilly. So we decided to drive into Stanley, find some food, some coffee, until everyone else woke up. So we stayed at Glacier View Campground. And so this little area right here where we paddleboarded the night before is right down from the campgrounds. So I decided to swing by and just kind of check it out. And boy, am I glad we went down. It was so beautiful. The fog on the lake, the fog through the mountains in the background. It was, I was in love. I was absolutely in heaven down by the lake and probably could have sat there forever. But I did have hungry kids, we were still cold, and I definitely needed coffee. So we decided to make our drive into Stanley. Saw this cute little deer on the way, right outside of the campgrounds. Kids really like saying hi to him.
In the woods? Can you see it up there? Do you see it? On a deer? It's a good name for a deer.
Where is it going?
It's probably looking for breakfast too. Let's say bye, deer.
Continued on our drive into Stanley, which isn't too far from the lake. Such a pretty area as well. Stay tuned again because I plan to do some dispersed camping around this area, so I will let you know what I find. I've heard some of the sites have kind of gone downhill where you could disperse camp around the river, so I'll keep you posted on what I find this summer. Made our way into Stanley, stopped at the Stanley Baking Company. Super cute little place. They had some awesome hats. I was gonna buy some, but decided to come back later and they were actually sold out the next day. So good. We got some pastries. Kids were happy. Stopped at a cute little place called Peaks and Perks. Got my coffee from there and some hot chocolates for the kiddos. And I am normally an iced coffee drinker. I'll tell you how cold it was. I got hot coffee that morning. Made our way back to the campsite. Definitely bringing bikes this summer because there's so many great paths that you can bike around with your family. So this is our first campsite for the night. Cute little area. Bathrooms are really close. They had like a little wooden play structure for the kids right near the bathrooms that they played on a little bit in the morning. Got my coffee again from Peaks and Perk. Highly recommend. It was just what we wanted. So this is the outlet campground day use areas where we decided to spend our first full day at Redfish. Just a quick little note, there is a fee to park in either of these day use spots, and it is cash or check only. Luckily I had checks on me because I did not think about that and didn't have cash. So keep that in mind before you go.
Mommy,
Yeah.
I want to make a sandcastle.
You want to make a sandcastle? That's a good idea. So the day use area that we launched from that first night when we got to Redfish over by Glacier View, it was really nice there, but the shore was really rocky, so it was a lot harder on the little kids' feet, where the outlet campground day use area has this really nice sandy beach. So that was definitely what we were looking for, especially with little kids. If you're just looking to launch a paddleboard or just kind of hang out on the shore, do a little swimming, the other one's probably great too. It is really shallow, really far out on the other one, which was nice with the little guys. But this one, you know, they could build sand castles, their feet didn't hurt. So we ended up spending most of our time here over at the outlet campground day use area. So a little bit about the gear we ended up bringing. So I have my Blackfin XL paddleboard. Absolutely love it. Wanted something that was big enough that I could take all the kids out with me if I needed to. Jason ended up getting that green and blue paddleboard Airfina, I think, off of Amazon. Definitely less expensive, and it seems to work really great for him, but I wanted something bigger. And then for Hannah, we ended up finding this Lifetime kayak on Facebook Marketplace. She loves having the little bit of freedom to be able to paddle by herself. Totally worth it. I'm also noticing another theme. Pretty much every video has a video of me diving into the water if there is a body of water that we're at. You having fun, Why? Woohoo! Great job! Yeah, she's swimming. So here you can really see just how clear the water is. We are pretty far out from shore, and I think I would estimate this is probably 30 to 50 feet deep of water here. And you can still see the bottom crystal clear as if you were in 5 feet of water. swim? You're swimming by the mountains? Mountains! Hi! Great job! I've said it before and I'll say it again. One of my favorite things about these trips is that we've been able to go with our friends and found people that just love adventuring and getting out there, and our kids are becoming great friends, we're becoming great friends, and we get to share these really awesome adventures together. I remember doing the same thing growing up, going camping and on adventures with our friends of our family. And I love that our kids get to do it now too. So our friends decided to head back to the campsite, and they were packing up their stuff that night and heading home. So the kids and I decided to stay down at the lake for a little bit longer. We were really the last people there, with the exception of a couple other people that got there later in the day. They were kind of hanging around. But really, we were there from first thing in the morning. We were pretty much the first people on the beach to the last people leaving that day. I was sitting watching the kids play in this big puddle, little canal that some of the other kids had made during the day. And I was just sitting thinking, we're such a society being focused on screen time and being entertained all the time, that I absolutely love watching my kids play out in nature where there is no screen. There's nothing that's entertaining them. They get to be the ones to decide what they're going to play, and they're going to be creative, and they're going to be active, and they're going to interact with other kids, meet new friends, meet new families, have true conversations that aren't on a screen. So being a mom who tends to do a lot of my adventures solo without my husband, I have to get a little bit creative, because it's not always easy to take your kids on these adventures. And one of my biggest issues I come across is just carting our stuff. So when we went down to the beach, I used our Veer wagon, which I absolutely love. I called it an investment piece because it was not cheap to begin with when we bought it. Had it for over 3 years now. Perfect for carting the kids, really rugged. We used it on the farm back in Ohio. I've used it on all of our adventures, hikes, all kinds of trails, and now on the beach. It was able to cart 2 paddle boards, our kayak, our food, our life jackets, blankets, towels, everything. I tend to be a pretty thrifty mama, love Facebook Marketplace, love finding a good deal, but there are definitely things that are 100% worth the investment, and this wagon is definitely one of them. So after we got packed up from the lake, we got back in the car and drove to our campsite number 2. So it was in a little bit different part of Glacier View Campground. Here we had the water behind us. It was so peaceful. Our campground was right up on this hill, and the kids could kind of walk down towards the water. There's a little walking path. So pretty. It was so peaceful and calming. I absolutely love this site, and I would 100% book this one again if I can. Once we had all had some dinner, got changed out of our wet clothes, ready to bundle up for night number 2, I did rearrange a little bit how we slept in the car. Since the first night was not a good night of sleep, we tried a few different things. It worked a little bit better, but I am so excited to have a camper and a rooftop tent for this coming summer. I feel like we got so lucky with weather. We woke up to another beautiful morning. It was still pretty chilly, so I got the fire going. We were all bundled up. Coming from the East Coast originally, I'm so used to if it was hot during the day, it was going to be hot at night sleeping. And here, because the temperature fluctuates so much between the day and the night, that's been a huge adjustment for me, making sure that we have enough warm clothes for nighttime, even when it's super hot during the days. Got myself a little coffee, put out the fire, kids started to explore a little bit. We took a little nature walk around, found some cool wildflowers. Even just walking to the bathroom in the campsite, you see the Sawtooth Mountains, and it's just so pretty. So we decided, even though we were done camping, that we would spend the rest of the morning out on the lake before we headed back home. Again, we had basically the place to ourselves. So it was a really special last day there. A couple people had set up some chairs and stuff like that to get ready for the day, but we were pretty much the only ones out on the water. It's so fun watching the videos back, and as I'm watching, I'm thinking, it's so crazy to think that they were 2, 4, and 12 last summer when we went here, and they did so well. Hannah picked up kayaking like it was second nature for her. She absolutely loved it. And Wyatt did such a good job floating around with me, being so patient. He even naps on the paddleboard, which is awesome. So he starts to get tired, just paddle away, and he'll mostly fall asleep on my lap.
Is that fine? What do you see? Look how clear that is. No paddle? Good job, bud. Paddle over towards Jason.
So Jason had found this little area where the lake went out, and he wanted to come explore, check out the fish. So we decided to paddle down there. He got some underwater footage for us of all these cute little fish swimming in the outlet from the lake. It was just a neat little area to kind of hang out, take things easy, just hang out as a family, check out the fish while the kids played in the water. The current wasn't too strong that we were all able to paddle back upstream, even Hannah, without a problem. I really love how clear the water is. You can see all the way to the other side of the stream here, which is just so neat. Such a pretty blue color too, bluish green. And always just fun to explore. Not very often on these trips that I get to go paddle out by myself, because I'm typically have one of the kids with me, or there's, I've got to keep a really close eye on them because they're all out in the water. So all the kids decided to build some sandcastles up on the beach, and so Jason was up there with them. So I decided I was going to take full advantage and practice my stand-up paddleboarding skills. Because the majority of the time, if I have Wyatt or any of the kids on the board with me, I'm always sitting down because I don't want to flip them and freak them out. So I was feeling pretty good out here. Really enjoyed my time solo on the board. Go me. Recently, I've seen a lot of posts and stuff talking about it's okay to not be good at something when you first start doing it. And this is the perfect time to throw a reminder out there that if you want to be good at something, you have to start doing it. So stand-up paddleboarding is something totally brand new to me. I'm still learning. I am still a little bit shaky, but I really love it. And if I didn't give it a try, I'll never get to the point that I want to be. So we decided before we would head out that we would take one last paddle as a family, kind of far out into the lake. We left Hannah's kayak onshore, that way we could go out a little bit further and I didn't have to worry so much about watching her and Wyatt. And so we just went out as a family, took a nice slow paddle out into almost the middle of the lake and back, and it was just the perfect way to finish out our trip. Wyatt started to fall asleep on my lap. Hannah was loving just watching, looking down into the water. There's so many trees and stuff that are down in the water, and again, it's so clear that you can see them, so it's pretty neat. And we just had a really, really great time. I absolutely love Redfish, and I am so excited to go back. So this summer, so far, I have a trip planned for one in June, one in July, and one in August. So I am excited to see, how the different months are. I think June is still going to be a little bit too cold for actually going into the lake, but we're actually staying up towards Stanley, not actually at Redfish. And then July and August, I have campsites that I was able to snag at Redfish Lake for both of those months. So I'm really, really excited for that. And even if you can't get a campsite, because I know they are really hard to get, I think it's still totally worth a day trip. From Boise, it's just about 3 hours. Get there, leave early in the morning, spend the day at the lake, and then you can head home. There's tons of hikes also up in the Sawtooth that are absolutely beautiful, and all kinds of lakes up there that you can access, but only if you hike into them. So that's something on my bucket list to do. I'm not quite there yet. Definitely need to get in better shape to be able to hike up those mountains. And my kids are a little bit too small still to really venture out into some of those more remote hikes, but definitely on my to-do list. It's just so beautiful, and I can't wait to go back. I don't think any of us were ready to leave, but it was time. We needed to pack up our stuff and get back on the road to get back home. Redfish, we'll see you next time. And don't you forget, adventure waits, so let's go. See you next time.